Thank you everybody for joining us this morning. Today we're going to be discussing the Sun in Leo, his own sign. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to incorporate the other transits as well to try to get a feel of the energy for the coming period. I am Ramdas Sinclair, and today I'm happy to be presenting this webinar on behalf of the American College of Vedic Astrology. I'm actually a graduate of the college. Many years ago. I did my level 1 training there and I found it really helpful. I've had great teachers as well, Ronnie Dreyer, Camilla Sutton, that I've gone on to other studies, but it's a really very interesting curriculum. So if you're not a former student, I would encourage you to check this out. Also, I'm very excited to announce today that we're announcing another series that's going to kick off on a regular basis. This is going to be hosted by our president, Charlotte Benson, and she came up with a really great idea that, many of us, we go to school, we learn all of this Jyotish, but then how do we really share it effectively? And so we've started a professional development type of series, and Charlotte is going to be hosting live question and answer sessions starting on August 22nd. It's going to happen every month moving forward. And so it'll be an open forum. And she's been a full-time practicing astrologer for 45 years now. So she really knows how to work this as a business. Now, I want to say to people, even if you're not planning to do this as a full-time job, this is a great thing because part of the idea of Jyotish is that we're able to share the light. So this might just give you some ideas, even if you're just doing readings for friends, like how can you be professional and everything in your practice with others. So today I'll be posting this video to YouTube and I'll include a link there. And then we're going to do, I think, a separate email later in the week to give you a chance to register for this ongoing series. So I think it's really exciting. I will be attending them. I sat in on a session like this she did several months ago, and I found it really helpful and informative. So I also want to remind you that on the ACVA website, acvaonline.org, there is a store, and there's hundreds of archived recordings from speakers that have presented for the college over, decades, actually now we can say. So it's a great place for good, solid information. There's so much stuff on the internet, and a lot of it is really quite excellent. But some of it is things that are specific to a region, or it's not a really common practice in astrology. So I would always recommend the ACVA store because you can get what is Parashara, or it's based on the classics. It's good, accurate information. Also, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, join our newsletter, and as always, if you would like to make a donation, that would really help out the college. So let's start with our little mantra for healing and world peace. Let's do Ganesha first. So just sit back and relax, take a deep breath. Put your feet on the floor. If you have shoes on, it's best to remove them. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so today we're going to follow our standard format, which is we're going to talk about Sun and Leo. We're going to be talking about the key transits. And especially like key dates that are coming up. It's going to be a really busy month. There's something happening almost every day. And then we'll go through sign by sign with some ideas, and we'll have time for Q&A and discussion at the end. Okay, so Sun is going to go into Leo next Sunday, August the 16th, and he'll be there until September 16th. The charts in this series are based on Seattle time. That's where I'm located, and so I just kind of started that for the series. And so here's the chart. This is the Surya Lagna. So we take when Surya is rising, the sun, and we look at the moment he first comes into the sign. And this will give us, so, you know, as many of you know, to really get a flavor of a transit, one of the things you can do is look at the moment that it starts. This also works with dasha periods as well. So it's one way to analyze the transit, because things are moving all the time. So we just take this as kind of a fixed moment, and we can see what kind of trends could we expect to emerge. So the first thing we see is we have Sun in his own sign. And then the next thing we see, if we're going around the chart, we have Jupiter in his own sign. With following that, we also have Saturn in his own sign. Mars has just moved into his own sign. And additionally, we have a exchange or a Parivartana yoga between the ruler of the 11th house, which is Mercury, and the ruler of the 12th house, which is the moon. So the 11th lord is in the 12th, and the 12th lord is in the 11th. So right off the bat, just going through that very simple analysis, we can see that this is a really strong chart. Well, maybe I should say his strength and weakness, maybe I should say like high impact chart. So because Sun, the strongest planet, is in his one and only sign, we can kind of expect that. But this is really being supported by every other planet being in its own sign or exchanging with its own sign. So this means this can be a pretty dynamic month from the 16th up to the 16th of September. Additionally, I noticed that we have the Lord of the first in the first, the Lord of the fifth, which is Jupiter in the fifth, and the Lord of the ninth in the ninth. So the trine houses are very well supported and very strong. This tells me that, so the trine houses are where the goddess Lakshmi lives. Luck, good fortune is there. So we have, this could be a very fortunate time. Also, it's all the fire trine is being accentuated with, you know, with all three rulers of the fire trines are there, and it's set in the trine from the sun. So that's another sign of kind of unusual high impact, let's say. That doesn't always happen. If we look closer at those three houses, the first, the fifth, and the ninth, we see that Mars is in 0 degrees of Aries. The sun and Mars moved at the same time. And because it's the beginning of a fire sign, these are also 2 of the 3 Gandanta points. So initially here, like when we're setting out, we have Sun in Gandanta and Mars in Gandanta. So if you don't use these in your analysis, just to clarify it, the first 48 minutes of a fire sign and the last 48 minutes of a water sign is a very turbulent area of the zodiac. It's kind of like where water and fire meet. I think of those great photos that you get of like when a volcano, when lava is flowing into the ocean, and you see all the turmoil and everything that gets kicked up in that. And so both of the fire signs here are in the Gandanta point. Now, I should stress that this only happens, you know, once a year for the sun, and for Mars it takes over a couple of years before it happens. So there's something significant there. And I think that the luck we're going to have is not going to be easy luck. I think building on the strength we're seeing there, we can expect a lot of turbulence, confusion, lack of clarity in this sign. The other thing I'd like to point out is while the 3 trines are the place of Lakshmi, the 4 angles, the first house, the 4th house, the 7th house, and the 10th house, is where Vishnu resides. And so fortune, good luck, Lakshmi she's very mobile. She moves around a lot. And so, we say, people who are often gambling say Lady Luck comes and visits them and then she leaves. So she tends to be fleeting. What anchors her is, it would be planets in the quadrants, in the first, fourth, seventh, or 10th. So you want to look to the sign opposite, where the trinal houses is one way to look at that, to see if it's going to be stable luck or fleeting luck. And here we have nothing opposite the sun, nothing in the 7th house. We don't have anything in the 7th house from Mars. And Jupiter, we do have some things opposite. So the first way, looking at the angles, you see they're pretty much empty. So this could be that the advances we make in this month may not hold, or they may have to be revised, or they may be changed. So that's the big message there. Furthermore, we do have Saturn sitting in the 6th house in his own sign. This can be very helpful, I think, in this combination with the sun, because Saturn can give us the strength and the persistence to overcome obstacles. And with the sun's, fortunate position and helping us to implement new things, I think this could be a positive combination of those two planets. And finally, I want to talk about this exchange between the 11th and 12th Lord. So there are 3 types of Parivartana Yoga. And when the Parivartana Yoga involves the rulers of the 6th, the 8th, or the 12th house, then it can be a little bit of a problematic yoga. It's called a Danya Parivartana Yoga, and Danya means difficult or challenging. And the specifics of that is it can cause very coarse speech, it can be lack of intelligence, it can be short-sighted. So these are kind of the major elements we see. Overall, I think high impact is the best term I can come up with this for the next month. So that can be for good, and it also can be some real challenges. So let's go on. So Sun is in his own sign, and this will give the potential for the best qualities to emerge. The fire trine, as I said, is heavily occupied. This is a potential for change and transformation. Also, Dharma is really going to be emphasized. And Dharma, as you know, to put it simply, is right action and support the community at large. So it's like usually it involves putting others' desires or community desires ahead of your own. Dharmic actions, or the opposite of Dharma, would be actions that just support you when you think of yourself only and don't consider the ramifications towards others. So this would be people who aren't thinking of the common good are going to have a more difficult time during this time. So I said the 1st, 5th, and 9th lords are in their own signs or in a trine. This is a very strong signature. And then we have Sun and Mars in Gandanta. Also on September 7th through October 7th, Ketu will be in the Gandanta point. And this is going to be the point between, is the point between Sagittarius. He'll be going, because he moves backwards, into Scorpio. This is considered the most challenging of the 3 Gandanta points. So Ketu being there for a month is something we all need to just put on our calendars and start thinking about, because what that means is that it's more likely we'll feel like just giving up on everything, not following rules, not doing anything. It can be a time where Ketu often awakens that time of a little bit of inner rebellion. So you need to do it because you don't want to take any actions that could harm yourself or others in the long run. So I think we've talked about the moon. Okay, so Jupiter is aspecting at the solar ingress the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, and Rahu. And so what this tells me is that whatever Jupiter aspects, he's protecting and supporting, but also enlarging. And this is what we're seeing in this scale right now, is Jupiter's power to really amplify the effects of those planets. Mercury is initially aspected by Saturn and Mars. So while that goes on, Mercury very quickly moves into Leo, like within a day or two of the ingress. So that will go away. And then by Rashi Drishti, the sun is getting aspects by Saturn and Mars. So this means that leaders, people in power, and our own sense of power is really going to be under assault. And I just want to clarify, because I use Rashi Drishti, and I think I want to make sure people are comfortable with it, because it's really quite powerful. Let me just go back to the chart so I can show it to you. Okay, so the rule is that, so by Rashi Drishti, all the mutable signs aspect each other. So Gemini, Virgo, Sag, and Pisces all aspect everyone. So this means in this chart, everything here aspects everything here by Rashi Drishti as well as by seventh aspect. Planets that are in fixed signs aspect all of the cardinal signs except the one that's next door to it. So this means that here we would say the other cardinal signs are Libra. It has an aspect to Libra, would be a Rashi Drishti aspect. We have Capricorn and Aries. So this is how these two aspects work for the sun. Recently, I was looking at the chart of the Beirut explosion, and it was before Mars had moved here. So Mars was in Pisces. And if you see Jupiter then is a mutable sign as aspecting the other mutable sign of Pisces. And they were in the exact degree at the moment of the explosion. And Jupiter, like, because when I heard the explosion, when I read about it, I thought, oh, Mars has to be involved. It's fire, it's explosion. It's completely unexpected. This has all the hallmarks of Mars. And sure enough, Jupiter's direct aspect by Rashi Drishti is what helped me to understand how it became so huge. Like I think one of the largest explosions on Earth, I mean, man-made explosions. So it's really quite interesting. Additionally, I saw the aspect of Saturn, the Parashari aspect, was Saturn was aspecting Mars here in Pisces by his third aspect. And Mars is aspecting by his fourth aspect the planet of Venus, which rules water. And I thought, oh, this shows how Mars was under assault from Saturn, so he was in an even worse mood and more angry, and that all vented on Venus, which rules water, which has happened at a port. So that's just a little sample of how I use aspects to, like, when I'm decoding an event, something like that, you can start to see it. And, as we get better at those things, we'll look for those and we'll understand, like, where's something big could happen here. So let's go on. Just checking, nothing in the chat box. Okay. So then we also have, well, I talked about the yogas. So there's a positive yoga with Mercury in the 12th from the sun. This is a benefic. It's called a Vashi yoga. And success, wealth, good fortune, that again supports all this activity in the trines very nicely. And the Danya Parivartana yoga, this is exchange between Mercury and Moon in the 11th and 12th house. They say the person can lack judgment, will revile others. Oh, sorry. Person can lack judgment, will revile others, and indulge in sinful deeds, speak harshly, and not have a stable mind, and will encounter obstacles in all his ventures. So this is like just saying that these areas, the 11th and 12th house, will be under, it can be a place where we're changing our mind, we get unclear information, things like that. And then the other concept that I use a lot is the Aruda of the sun, which is, in this case, it's the 10th house of Taurus. So, and the ruler of Taurus is in the 11th house. So this talks about the 10th and 11th house being how people view the sun. There's aspects of Taurus in what they want. And I interpret that to mean that people really want innovative ideas from leadership. So if you are in a leadership position, this is the time to that your innovative and new ideas may gain ground and be accepted. So again, the sun's key attributes are our ability to connect to the soul. I think this will be very positive as sun is in Leo. So it's good to always keep your spiritual practices up, your meditation, and keep yourself grounded. The general disposition, he has a generous disposition. He's oriented to promoting new ideas and solutions always, and that's being reinforced by other factors. Increased self-confidence, courage, and charisma, which is nice because, you know, we need to feel stronger as we're going through the many events that are taking place in so many layers of our world. Enhanced vitality is good, and the ability to manifest authority, leadership qualities, and even a royal disposition. So I take this personally as, you know, it's always a good reminder amongst all the stuff that we're facing now, just take the high road when you can. You know, sometimes things really get annoying, but it's best not to act out, especially on social media, things like that, to write things, because then it's kind of out there forever. The practice of just not sharing, you know, not engaging or fanning the flames. That's probably a good image to use. This is a time when we need to avoid fanning the flames. When you see someone in crisis that's acting out, you know, in person or online, you know, just let it go. Recently, I saw, you know, the people that have been confronting people in stores about not wearing masks, it's actually become quite dangerous. And with this month and all this fire, you know, the best thing, one of the first things an astrologer told me long ago is one of my very first readings. He said, you with my son in the second house of speech like that, you need to be very careful because it can lead to accidents or injuries from something you say to a stranger on the street. So he said, never cross a stranger because it could have dire implications. So just something I thought I would share. You know, it's good practice. Just, you know, people are stuck in their own thing. We don't have to fix them. So let's look at the lunar signs that are in Leo. And I found kind of some interesting stuff in here this month. So from August 16th to August 30th, the sun will be going through Magha. And this is the Shakti is the power to leave the body and so transcend it. But I think it's a power to, because Ketu is there, which indicates higher knowledge. It doesn't mean permanent leave the body. It's kind of frightening to read the first time you read it, but it's more like to go to transcend your own particular outlook. And so a king, which is Leo, is the sign of the king, can't act for himself. He has to act for the good of his people. And this is also related to the Pitris, which are our forefathers, our ancestors. And the big thing about working with the Pitris is you have to ask them for help. So it's a good time to remember to ask teachers, mentors, consult with people before you act. Then from August 30th to September 12th, the sun will be going through the sign of Purva Falguni. And so this is ruled by Venus, and this is the power of creative procreation. And here there's a narrative attached to this one that's about Brahma and Saraswati. And so Brahma is the creator of all things, and one of the deities, all people, animals, everything he creates was Saraswati. And so there's a long story about this, about how Brahma fell in love with Saraswati, but some of the Devas thought that's not really right because you're her father in one sense and everything. So this is the mythic representation, like the symbolic, of the conflict between creation and wisdom. So we can create many, many things, but do we have the power to use them wisely and for the good of all people? And so this is, I think, the balance we're working with. And this is coming out now. People are putting all kinds of creations online related to COVID-19, but are they really doing what they say? So this is kind of an area that I think is pretty interesting to explore right now and really watch and see what happens during that time. And then from September 12th until September 16th, the sun will be in Uttar Phalguni. And this is his own nakshatra. And this gives the power of prosperity. And here's the story of Shiva, Nandi, and the Halahala, which was the poison that came up when they were churning the ocean. Nagavasuki vomited up this poison and it started to destroy all of creation. So Shiva drank the poison and he held it in his throat so it didn't harm him. That's why he has a blue throat. And then a drop fell from the ground, and Nandi, having seen, Nandi is Shiva's bull, having seen Shiva drink it, drank it with total devotion that he would be safe. And in fact, there were no adverse consequences to Nandi. So I think what this also means, following the creativity of Purva Phalguni, is that often there's side effects of things we create which we don't anticipate. So, if, having worked in pharmaceuticals for quite a while, every medication has a side effect. So there's unexpected consequences. And I think that could be one way to look at the Halahala poison is that, we're trying our best, but some things, just have unexpected consequences. So this time will be perhaps an exploration, a time to gain deeper understanding of some of these types of activities. Now, as I looked at the nakshatras and I looked at the friendships, you can see here starting August 16th through the 19th, he's in his exalted pada of Aries. So that could be a good time here on the first one. And then you see that he's in a friend sign from the 27th all the way up through September 3rd. So that month he's in a friend and his own sign. And so those are really the two strongest times. And then after September 13th, he's in a friend sign as well. So this is just time for good outcomes. Other times that are listed as enemy, it can be an unexpected or adverse outcome, and neutral times is kind of 50-50. I'm looking at the pada, the third column here. One thing I then looked at is that during this, Sun rules the sign of Leo, but the nakshatras that are there in fire signs are ruled by Ketu and Venus, and then only at the very end does Sun have ownership of the last 3 degrees, 20 minutes of the sign on the nakshatra level. And so this nakshatra level is about your peace of mind. So I think I've been really thinking about this and I thought, but the truth is, if you're a leader on any position, you don't have a settled, easy mind. You're always thinking, you're always planning, you're always, it's like doing work is one thing. Supervising someone else doing work is as much or more work than actually doing it yourself. So I think this just talks to even though Sun is strong and it has high impact, there's a little unease that may be mentally present through this whole thing. And this is every time, that Sun goes through a fire sign. So I just thought that might be a way to look at this. So I offer that for you to consider. So let's start looking at some of the other transits we have going on. This is the little grid that I make every month. It gives me like a quick snapshot. So you see here on the 18th is when we find the new moon. That'll be at 2 degrees of Leo. On the 1st of September, we also have a full moon at 16 degrees of Aquarius in Shatabishak. So you kind of get that the really outstanding things I'm seeing are that Mercury will be changing sign into Virgo. So he'll move through Leo pretty quickly, like in 3 weeks, basically, and go into Virgo. Jupiter here, who's been retrograde all summer, is going to turn direct on the 12th, 13th of September, right around here. But he'll be stationing. These little dashes mean that they're stationing before and after. And same thing, Mars will be in Ashwini, but he will station at 4 degrees of Aries a couple days before. So you can see that when we have Jupiter and Mars reversing, all the while Saturn is stationing, is continuing to retrograde. This tells me that this could be a turbulent time all through here, especially when you have the overlap of the stations and the changes. So that's what I use this for, is just a quick snapshot. I did go through and I listed out all the activity that's going to be happening. Just as a quick reference for you. So first of all, we have Sun and Mars in Gandanta. You see the dates there, the 13th through the 19th of August and the 15th through 17th of August. So we'll be coming into that starting this week. And then we have Sun and Mars moving both on the 16th into new signs. And the thing I want to talk about here is Mars is going to be in Aries. It's going to retrograde back into Pisces and then back through Aries. So Mars will be in or around Aries until February 21st. So Mars only retrogrades every couple of years. And this is going to be an intense transit. And I'm going to talk about that in more detail in a moment. And you can just see here the other moves that come in on August 31st. You have Venus enters Cancer. And then on that same day, Mercury is changing signs into Uttar Falguni. September, and then the next day you have the full moon, and then you have Mercury entering Virgo the same day. So you can see, like, around the end of the month there's a lot of movement. A big point I want to make is that on September 7th, Ketu enters the Gandanta, and he will be there for a month. So we mentioned that earlier in the sign transit, but it's just something to really put on your calendar, because when, you know, Rahu Ketu change signs in the middle of that, right at the end of September, but Rahu won't be in a Gandanta because he's not changing from a water fire sign transition, but Ketu will be, and Ketu has kind of is co-ruler of Mars, so he's moving into his own sign, but still this could be a time of rapid change and kind of some upheaval. And then Mars will start his retrograde 2 days later on September 9th, and Jupiter goes direct on the 12th. So those are the kind of the big shifts that we're going to be seeing during this month. So I've started doing this, developing for myself to understand the movement of these retrogrades, that you really have a pre-retrograde phase, a retrograde phase, and then a post-retrograde phase. So if you start to look at events in the pre-retrograde phase, they often get revisited during the retrograde. And then on the third phase, you kind of see the resolution of issues that have been raised. So starting July 25th, Mars reached 21 degrees of Pisces. And then on the 16th, he'll move into Aries. And then on the 4th, and then on the 9th, he'll retrograde at 4 degrees of Aries. Then he'll go back through those points and he'll station again at 21 degrees Pisces on November 13th. And then it won't be until January 2nd, 2021 that he'll again reach his initial retrograde point. So this is kind of an interesting time to look over and to really try to understand the full impact of these retrograde cycles. So these are the key dates. And then, as I said, he will not enter Taurus until February 21st. So it's a long, intense retrograde of Mars. And you can see the Beirut bombing happened on August 4th. And so he was already in this retrograde cycle. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be a challenging time, because Mars, you know, is a malefic planet, and we're already primed with a lot of stress and chaos. And so as he moves in and out of these signs through the Skandanta point, I fear that it could have negative repercussions. I think this is the last major impact that we're going to be looking at for the year. This is the big transit. We've gone through so much already this year with all the retrogrades, but this is the next challenge that will be playing out through the end of the year and the beginning of that. Probably with the exception, off the top of my head, of Jupiter and Saturn's direct conjunction, which is on December 21st. So we can start to see here that we'll be going through that. And as I look December 23rd, Mars looks like he'll be right in the Gandanta degrees. So that's something to think about. That will be an event, but this is like a long-term trend we're going to be coping with. So what do you do with the Mars retrograde? Well, Mars is anger, it's temper, it's acting out. So what you have to do is realize you're under stress. It's very important that you assess your own mental not mental status, like your own like tolerance level. There are days when Mars is in a bad place that I'm out and I find myself like yelling at people in traffic, not literally, but like in driving, and I think, oh, this is not a day to be out. So I try to then be home and be calm. Just, your frustration tolerance is a good way to put it, goes way down when Mars is not comfortable. We do have, we're still going to have the some of the Panchamahapurush yogas, which is a theme of this year as well. Jupiter will remain strong until November 19th. Saturn, we've talked about these in the last couple of months. Sasha Yoga will be occurring from July 12th all the way to January 17th. So that gives more strength to Saturn. And then we'll begin on the 16th, Ruchaka Yoga, which is the Mars Mahapurusha Yoga. And it will be occurring for if people that you have your Lagna or Moon in Aries, Leo, Libra, or Capricorn. And then you'll be getting a Ruchaka Yoga. And the characteristics are there on the bottom line, that this indicates action, ambition, ability to achieve things, lots of energy. Ruchaka means to shine, light. It brings luster, it illuminates in splendor. So wherever this falls, whatever house this falls in, we'll be getting kind of a blessing of Mars, that you'll get a lot of action and energy there. So knowing this is there, it's a great way to channel that Mars's energy into productive action, rather than just letting it kind of wander around and lash out kind of like lightning bolts. Like, channel the energy and it will be much more effective for you. So let's go through our sign by sign. So if your Moon or Lagna are in Aries, the Sun will be in the 5th house, which emphasizes interactions with children and creative endeavors. This is a great time to start or continue your mantra practice, because mantra is specifically associated with the 5th house. Taurus, Suns and Moons, Taurus, Moons and Lagnas, the Sun will be in the 4th house, and it may bring to light areas of your home life which can be reinvented. Create a checklist and work through the details, and you will feel happy and invigorated. If your Moon or Lagna are in Gemini, then the Sun is in your 3rd house this month, where you will shine amongst your friends and peers. Use this social capital to promote health and healing in yourself and in others. This is a great time to help out those around us. If your Moon or Lagna are in Cancer, Sun will be in the 2nd house, where your speech will resound to the mountains, okay? Choose your words carefully, as the echo will come back to you with equal strength. Proper diet is very important. If your Moon or Lagna are in Leo, then Sun is in your 1st house and gives a radiance and glow to your face and your actions. Great accomplishments are possible here, but balance your exercise and relaxation. Okay, make sure that you're getting, doing your tasks, but also taking time to be calm so that you don't burn out. For Moon or Lagna in Virgo, the Sun is in your 12th house and can give deep insights into the feelings and actions of others. If you take time to look objectively, so that's the key, is rely on your natural analytical abilities to really look at people, and you can really gain understanding as to what's motivating them. And that way, communication, support, and is all possible. Regular sleep and waking cycles will be important to maintain balance in your day. Virgos love structure, so you got to keep that going. Moon or Lagna in Libra will put Sun in your 11th house. And this will help to overcome health issues and may bring wish fulfillment. So that's very nice, very positive. Positive thinking and meditation will help you to maintain equilibrium during this time. Moon or Lagna in Scorpio, the Sun is in the 10th house, and it illuminates the next step for your career and may also reveal how you are viewed by others. A solid reputation is a valuable asset. So this is something you have to remember for Scorpios, is make sure that you're just don't take shortcuts. Do it properly, and it will pay off dividends in the end. Moon or Lagna in Sagittarius will put Sun in the 9th house, and this may bring teachers and mentors who will deepen your understanding and knowledge. Advanced studies can be successful if started during this transit. So Moon or Lagna in Capricorn, the Sun will be in the 8th house and will enlighten areas of prior confusion and challenges that are not yet resolved. Use the Sun's strength to evaluate next steps clearly. You may find that some issues will release their hold on your life. For Moon or Lagna in Aquarius, the Sun is in the 7th house. It can show areas where you can strengthen business and intimate relationships. Sun treats everyone equally, so honest dialogue can be revealing. And finally, if your Moon or Lagna are in Pisces, Sun will be in your 6th house and can resolve outstanding conflicts in your favor. Try not to get overheated during these interactions and remain detached. Always remember, karma will bring everything in time. So that's the presentation I have for today. I want to open this up and see if anyone has any questions or comments. I'm happy to answer them. Give you time. So I hope everyone's doing okay. It's going to be a very interesting last section of the year, but this is why we study astrology, is so that we can get a bigger view and we don't get trapped in the day-to-day turmoil of limited knowledge. The planets can help us take a larger perspective and stay grounded through all of this. Oh, I see. Oh, great. Someone asked, how can you re-listen to this? Excellent. I will be posting this on the ACVA YouTube channel. Like right after this, I'll do, a little clip edit and then upload it. So by this afternoon, it should be available. And if you're signed up on our email list, I'll send out an announcement when that's available. And at the same time, there'll be a link that you can sign up for Charlotte's series, which starts Saturday the 22nd. Yeah, I hope you will look at this because I find that I usually print out that slide that has all the dates on it because I always forget. And it's a good thing to check in the morning, just kind of look and see what's happening in the transits. Okay. Okay, in the beginning of your talk, you referred to Saraswati as a widow in Purva Falguni. I've never heard that before. How can I read more about this? So this is something I just came across. I can't tell you exactly where it is, but what the story is there is that Brahma married Saraswati, but she was his daughter. So the gods said, that's really not right to do. So what they did is I don't think they killed Brahma, but somehow Brahma died and then all of creation stopped. And then they said, oh, well, we can't have this. We have to have continuation. We have to have creation continue. So they brought him back. And so because she had already married him and then he died, someone said that she's considered a widow and she wears white. That's why she wears white, because in India, widows wear white. So I thought that was just kind of an interesting thing. I used that as a prompt to remind me of the story. Now, the more that you read these stories, and I mentioned this before, or I did the Hindu goddesses. I have this book here that I bought like in the airport in India. It's by David Kinsley. I'm gonna do that. Hindu goddesses. Ooh, everything's reversed. Hindu goddesses in the divine feminine. So if you search Kinsley and Hindu goddesses, he has a very interesting, it's scholarly, it has all the references to the classics, but I find that's a very good source. Of course, all the stories are there in the Puranas and the Ramayana and things like that. The goddesses, though, I would look for some specific books like that one. So it's really interesting, and it kind of adds more understanding to this. I'm going to be teaching a course on the nakshatras and all the stories behind them starting next week. And I'm really getting like jazzed up about it. So anyway, if you'd like to take that nakshatra course, visit my website, billsinclair.com, and you can sign up there. But I think that's everything. Let me just double check. Great. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great month. Don't ever worry about the transits. You're forewarned, so you'll know exactly what to do about them. Okay? Thank you very much. Namaste.